I ran up a check, I might do it again. Enemies close, had me thinking they're friends. 10 toes down, I'll be free until the end. Crib outside the city, I don't feel safe in my hands. Took so many years, I'm just waiting for the wins. I'm in debt to no one but the one who took my sins. I do it for real, there's no reason to pretend. If I do it once, I do it again. Add it up, bankroll, euro, peso, add it up. I'm just doing me, everything is on me. Oh, you matter what? Add it up, bankroll, euro, peso, add it up. I'm just doing me, everything is on me. Oh, you matter what? Add it up. Told her if it's all me, everything is on me. Gon' back it up. Matter what? Told you I'ma do me. Why you hating on me? It's not adding up. I do roll like a Mack truck. Country heart, I might cop a farm and go act up. Lot of scars, I was cold-hearted, now I'm backed up. Keep it real, I do this once a month, I don't rap much. I just take the money and go stack up. Only buying car to get tatted up. All that other bull, it don't matter much. You only climb me, I put the ladders up. No fault, I done doubled up on the workload. I think I fell in love with the bankroll. Pray up, get money, then we lay low. Add it up, bankroll, euro, peso, add it up. I'm just doing me, everything is on me. Oh, you matter what? Add it up, bankroll, euro.
What it do, folks? I see you back. You back there rocking with our theme there, right there. Okay,
yeah, man,
okay.
Every week I gotta
play it in your trunk, don't you? That's what you want to do. You want to put
it. get that rocking, that lean back. You know what I'm saying?
Sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. What's good? November 4th, Thursday evening. Team No Sleep. My man Montel Allen. Look at him right there, folks. How you doing, brother?
Man, good, man. You know, a little tired, exhausted from the work week, but you know how we get it in. You know, always blessed.
Always.
You know, 10 toes down, 6 feet above, man. We always got another day.
I swear to you, I'm gonna put that on the shirt. One of these, I'm gonna surprise you one day. I'm gonna send you one, and I'm gonna have a whole bunch of them made up for us. 10 toes, God, I love it. I love it. Mm-hmm. Kevin Cox is in the building. We see you, sir. I gave the man the wrench. Kevin Cox, that means the man is a moderator on the YouTube side, so he's keeping the trolls at bay. We thank you for being part of the community and for always being an active participant, sir. Look, let's go ahead and get focused, man. We got a lot of stuff to talk about, and man, I wish there was more good to talk about than negative and challenging conversations. But we've got a guest joining us today. I talked to him last night. I'm not going to delay too much. I want to bring this man on the screen so you can see him and let him introduce himself. Walter Strong, how are you, sir?
Good evening, gentlemen. Good evening.
Well, you got a radio voice there too? Listen at you, boy. You got
to. Hey, look, when it's time to go live, you turn the switch on and it's time to go.
Yes, sir. It's time to go. I tell you what, man, I appreciate you for taking the time and being in the environment, being in the room. Tell the folks who are watching Team No Sleep, the folks that were watching H&M Live knew you, or they got to know you, but tell the folks real quick who it is that you are and what it is that you do.
Appreciate the honor. Good evening, everyone. My name is Walter Strong III. I am an online coach, video consultant. I have a YouTube channel, which is after my name, where we help you find your passion and purpose on YouTube. And so I'm truly honored to be as a guest on Team No Sleep because I am also a sports fan. And so when the invitation came on to talk sports, hey, look, we get clearance from the wife and the daughter. And once you got clearance, it's time to go live. But I'm truly honored this evening to be a part of your audience and to add great value to you all.
Thank you, brother. Smoking like a true Knicks fan.
Yeah.
Yes. True sporting, true Knicks fan. See, you jinxed us last night.
I sure did, man, because y'all came up short, and tell the folks where you are because that's relevant too. You are on the right coast. as in
That's right.
direction. We know the left coast is really the right coast, but you over there somewhere right now.
Yeah, East Coast, Long Island, New York, about 45 minutes from the Garden,
Yes, sir.
New York City, New York, and so we excited about what the Knicks are doing. They just gotta consistently play some defense. They gotta consistently rebound, and they gotta stop turning that darn ball over. But
Man,
that's for
yeah.
another topic.
Yeah, we have one basketball story tonight. It's not a good one, but we will get into that. Maybe we'll touch a little bit on your thoughts and your predictions, maybe, because again, you started out pretty decently, but it's early, long season, right? You got the super teams and everyone's sick. LeBron got stomach cramps or whatever. He out for a couple of days because I don't know, he can't do what he needs to do. But let's go ahead and get into it. Brother Cox is already alluding to it. Yeah, it's sure going to be some tough moments tonight with everything that's happening. I want to go ahead and put this out here too. Brother Steve Worthy is in the building. We see you, sir. Appreciate you for joining. One day we got to get you on Team No Sleep as well. Mr.
Yeah, I
Cox
need another Knick fan on here.
You want to balance it out, balance it out a little bit, right? I love it.
Right.
I love it, folks. So look, here we go. Let's talk about some unfortunate news. We got Henry Ruggs played for the Las Vegas Raiders, right? And he no longer plays for them. He's no longer really part of the league. He was sitting in jail as of yesterday, but he bailed himself out. He got bailed. He was the proponent, the initiator of a fatal accident at 3:00 in the morning in I think it was Vegas, but he was driving with his girlfriend in excess of 150 miles an hour, 157 miles an hour in his Corvette. He was drunk, twice the legal drinking limit. He had a loaded weapon in his gun. He ran into the back of a RAV4. So, and it's relevant that I mentioned a RAV4 because, I mean, no disrespect to the folks that have a RAV4, but that car will crumple if you throw a rock at it, unfortunately. And what he did going into it at 157 miles an hour, he ran into it, essentially pushed that car about, I think it was 500 or so feet. The gas line ruptured on that RAV4 and killed the woman and her dog that were in that car. The sad story about that, along with that, there were some good Samaritans there that were trying to help the lady out. She was pinned in to the car, and the airbags deployed. She had her seatbelt on. They couldn't get her out, obviously, unfortunately, in time. But the reports that are coming out right now, she didn't die instantly.
Okay.
Right. So there's actually, unfortunately, some reports of hearing the woman agonizing, right, from the injuries, trying to get out, and the fact that she was still cognizant, conscious, aware, and then it was the unfortunate mishap that happened with her. The question that we want to get into about this is this guy right here, when he was in the hospital after the accident, he was being incredibly belligerent with the medical staff, with the police officers, with everyone around him who was actually trying to care for the man, right? While he's in there, because he's in an accident as well. So looking out for him. His girlfriend, who was in the car in his Corvette with him, was actually injured, and she had to go through surgery, and I believe it was an arm injury, so she had to get that addressed and have that taken care of. But 157 miles an hour, ran into the back of a car, had a loaded weapon in his car, killed the lady and her dog, and is being just I got another word I want to say, but I'm not going to say it, but being belligerent with the folks that are trying to take care of him. Why are we seeing so many stories like this of professional athletes that are out there doing reckless nonsense, and unfortunately now it's taking lives, right? So let's start with you, Walter, being the guest. When you saw this story and you read this story, tell us kind of your thoughts on the whole circumstance, man.
First of all, just hearing this, it immediately just makes me, once this show is over, just go hug my wife and my daughter, and just to be grateful that the sun is still shining on their face and not their grave. That's the first thing I definitely would encourage any man who is listening tonight, hug your wife, your daughter, your child, your son, because when you have someone like Mr. Henry there behind the wheel, it's tragic. It just breaks my heart to learn of this. And yes, there are athletes. There are athletes out there that are doing this behind the wheel. And this story now makes me wonder, because I'm on the East Coast. I wasn't getting this on ESPN other than till, I came into the green room and got briefed for the show. And so I'm wondering how many stories like this are still out there, have been unreported,
Yeah.
and that are involved with athletes. And there has to be a greater level of accountabilities for these guys, because um, an athlete has the ability to have someone to be able to take them from point A to point B. And if they need assistance with finances, they need assistance with business, they need assistance with buying a house, they have the assistance to have someone drop them from point A to point B, to B. And there's no excuse for this. And so it's tragic. And I'm just praying that the law is executed to the fullest extent, that he should be put under the jail.
I agree with you, man. Let me, Montel, let me get your piece on this as well. Just, hearing the story again, seeing that this is happening time and time again with our athletes who are again supposed to be maybe role models, right? Ones that, especially, I worry about our youth, right? That they're looking at these people who are in these positions, who are playing sports that a lot of our kids are wanting to be like. They want to be like the Mikes and the Kobe's and the folks that are out there throwing the ball, hitting the ball, and doing all those things. And then when there's so many stories like this of somebody doing something so stupid, 157 miles an hour, drunk, loaded weapon in the car, and then runs in the back of someone, and then acts a fool when someone's trying to help him because he was fortunate enough to still be alive after the incident. Montel, your thoughts on this whole situation?
Yeah, it's a sad situation all the way around. I pray for the family that the lady that lost her life and her family, and strong prayers for them. I'm it's poor decision making, and I'm very disappointed in Rugg, and I'm disappointed in the Raiders organization for not being more diligent about the surroundings and the situations. I mean, you got to think they're in Las Vegas. Henry Rugg is, and I'm not making excuses for him, but Henry Rugg is a 22-year-old, 23-year-old man. When you're 23 and 23-year-old and have a lot of millions of dollars, you don't make the best decisions in the world. And obviously, this is one of the most crucial ones we've seen. Him deciding to drink and drive and speed real fast and all that. I would pray that I hope his life is not over at the age of 23. But you have to be accountable for your actions and what happens in these situations. It's sad all the way around. It's funny because this is a year to the date that there was a UNLV player in the same situation. Yep. He was a college player. He was driving 85 and 35. He hit someone, and it was involuntary manslaughter while he was intoxicated. So I believe it's part of your surroundings, and it's a part of the accountability of the people that you're around and the system you're around. I mean, you got to understand. Think about it. A 21, 22, 23-year-old man in Vegas with millions of dollars. It's hard for him to make a lot of sound decisions. Not justifying that situation, but it's hard for them to make sound, smart decisions. I believe he should have had a driver. He should have had an Uber. His girlfriend should have made sure they got an Uber. Somebody should have been driving that car except for him.
Yeah.
In my opinion, there should have been someone or somebody should have intervened. I want to know the valet. Who's the valet that gave him the car, knowing he was being belligerent and drunk before he got in the car? Somebody needs to be able to. I'm not saying he's not wrong, but somebody that would help step in and intervene. Help intervene. That's another thing we do. We turn our head to situations that we don't want to be a part of instead of intervening.
Talk about that.
This young man was in a situation where it could have been easily avoided. Now, not only did he take someone's life and his life is ruined, that whole family has to mourn and figure out their next situation was going to go on, and his family has to mourn too, because you might as well say 2 people died in that car wreck.
Yeah.
Henry Rugg's career and livelihood just died in that car accident. Along with
because they released him. Wednesday. The team released him for sure. And we've talked about this before, right? And an organization like the NFL has people. right? And
Yes.
every player has a phone. I don't play for the NFL. I don't know, but I'm sure there's a phone number of some type of player relations where I could call and say, look, I've been apparently with Ruggs. He was at Top Golf for a number of hours drinking. Then he went to another party and was drinking. There's a number in his phone that he can call and say, look, man, we didn't have way too much. Yeah, send the sprinter, right? Send the ride over and take us home. We're not gonna drive tonight, but yet it's still stupid.
Wait, there's a number in his phone. There's people that he was partying with. There's the valet people that are there. There's his girlfriend that were there.
Yeah.
All these people want to say no because he's the money bag. They want to supersede because he's the person that's providing, unfortunately. And when that person decides to make dumb mistakes, no one wants to step up and say anything and call him on his BS.
Wow.
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
So no one called him on his BS, him being drunk or him saying, hey, you know what? We ain't driving, or just refusing to get in the car, or, having that argument with him. If that's my friend and I see my friend's drunk, I'm taking the keys. We'll fight right there if we have to. But
I've been in that same boat. Yeah. So, if you're a real friend of someone, you're going to step in front of them and make sure they don't hurt themselves or hurt them.
Oh, man, you've been how you
I appreciate you saying that. Yeah.
And be in that situation. It's not only that person. I mean, that person's ultimately responsible, but it's not only that person. It's the surroundings around that person that has these situations that happen on. The same with that young man that went OV. If he was leaving wherever he was coming from, why wasn't his crew or his friends or his partners around be like, yo, you had too much to drink?
Yeah.
Period. You got too much to drink. You're not driving. Period. Yes, I know the NFL does have access to 24 hours or Uber service or all that stuff. But we beyond that point now. He didn't want to call. If he didn't want to call, I don't know why nobody didn't intervene.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Because I'd rather take him cussing me out and being belligerent and wake up the next day being like, damn, ooh, man, you saved me one, instead of now we're dealing with this situation right now. And I said, I feel so bad for the family that he destroyed. And I feel bad for him on the other side because he destroyed himself. This is a 22, 23-year-old man that just came out of college, finally made the bag that he's been chasing all his life to take care of his family.
Exactly.
And it's gone. It's gone because of a stupid decision he made to drive that car because he was intoxicated. And that's disheartening because people around him could have stopped him as well as him stopping himself.
Yeah. There's children involved because Ruggs and his girlfriend that were in the car, they have a child together as well. So now there's going to be that whole onion is going to unfold, right? Because they got to figure out how to deal with that. Why did she not intervene? Was she intoxicated as well? So all of that, and then the side of the young lady who actually did lose her life, right? So there's probably going to be
civil suits
charges
and everything
against
charges
that.
Charges, civil suits, everything and above is going to be happening to this young man at the age of 23. And like I said, the little bag that he was chasing or he supposedly had gotten, it's gone. It's all gone.
Yeah, he's he's supposed to be back in court next week. I think it was November the 10th, where he's back in front of the judge to make some decisions, start doing some preliminary conversations. But yet nothing looks good for this guy because, again, the organization, the Raiders have, I'm gonna say, washed their hands of him. Right?
I think the NFL has. I mean, trust me, the NFL's been to the situation before. They've had the Dallas Cowboys D lineman. He got charged with a DUI, involuntary manslaughter. To say, I would say his career is over with just because of the climate we're in. Before, maybe there would be a bleak chance, maybe him getting back in if he had the opportunity. Now there's no bleak chance. I don't see there's a bleak chance of him coaching anywhere because no one wants to have that within their staff.
Right.
I think it's going to be hard for him to just get a professional career, period, after he does whatever time he's going to have to do for this involuntary manslaughter. I mean, I think that the term carries at least 7 years. If he goes, if he's charged with involuntary, he may be charged with reckless driving in manslaughter, which tax on more. I don't know what they're going to do. But, I mean, if we just go with the lesser than involuntary manslaughter, he's going to do 7 years in jail. That means a young man's out at 30 with a felony record, which he's done time. And let's be honest with you, he has no professional skills except for playing football. He's been dedicated this all to his life.
Yeah, talk about that. That's true.
So it's going. I mean, it's hard, man. And I mean, I throw out the role model part because it's got to be. It's individual decision. This is about you as an individual. Period. It has nothing to do with who your role model does or what your cousin does or what your friend does. It's all about an individual decision, and you got to understand your surroundings. And when you got to know your limits, when you've had too much, you need to stop and slow it down.
Yeah, and let me backtrack a little bit, and then I'll get into these comments. That's some good points. I bring up the role model concept or statement. Just thinking back, I'm old school, just like you guys. I'm thinking about the Charles Barkley conversation, right? When he said, "No, I'm not the role model. You, the parents, are. I'm out here hooping, playing ball. So don't look at me as a role model." So I kind of wanted to have kind of that dialogue and that conversation. Kier brings up a good topic here. And what's up to you, brother? Glad you're here. Dante Stallworth went through the same thing. Never played another day in his life, right? So what's going on with that? Kevin Cox is bringing up some fire here. I'm loving the fact that he's bringing up these conversations. I feel like part of the story is missing, though, what is going on at that time of the day, and that much alcohol and weapons in the car and the speed in the city streets. That's going to come out, brother. We're going to hear about that in the next couple of days, I'm sure. What led up to the situation, what was going on at Topgolf, how many tequilas, how many drinks, right, did he actually have, or did he get into an altercation? How many drinks did he have when he went to that other party? And again, 157 miles an hour. Downtown Vegas, and everyone has been to Vegas. You cannot drive that fast anywhere near any street on Vegas. Doesn't make sense.
But I'm disappointed in the surroundings, man. Like, who didn't say no? Like, who? We got a big problem within our community. Let's be perfectly honest. If we're gonna be real, let's keep it real thorough right now.
Yes, sir.
We have a big problem in our community, especially when it's somebody that's the breadwinner or the person that's authority or the person you feel they can put you on, that we don't want to say no to them because we think it's going to hurt our chances. This young man was obviously, like you said, he was in a party at Topgolf. He was in a party after that. You mean to tell me there was no other teammates, no friends he was with, nobody there that could have said, "Yo, man, you need to slow down. No, you're not driving." And this happens over and over and over and over again within our black athletes. Because I don't see it happening with the Caucasian athletes, and I don't see it happen too many with the Hispanic athletes. It happens so often and so much reported on black athletes. Yeah. These situations happen all the time. And I want to know, when is someone going to step up and say no? You got to step up and tell your boy no. You can't drink and drive. You can't do this. You can't do that. Slow yourself down. Call an Uber. I'm taking your keys. We're just going to fight out here until we just going to fight, but you're not getting these keys back.
Yeah.
Am
I my brother's keeper? Yes, I am. I should be. Right.
But I mean, again, we have that part. If somebody we think that can put us on, or somebody that's holding that bag and he's part of my crew, I'm not going to do anything to piss him off, even if that means jeopardizing his life or jeopardizing his livelihood. That's a sad mentality that we have. And it's just not right, man, because like you said, there were several hours that led up to this whole situation. Somebody could have stopped that. Someone could have stepped in and stopped that.
Somebody, anybody, right? I mean, just a bystander and someone just seeing that he's belligerent. Nick Clark, appreciate you being here, man. It's so easy with today's technology and easy to just do Uber and Lyft. But being young NFL superstar or not, maybe he felt invincible that this wouldn't happen to him. There's truth in that, right? No one. A lot of times we don't think that we're gonna get in trouble or we got enough to get home or we got enough to make it. But
one more comment on that though.
Yeah,
this can't be the first time it happened.
That's where I was going.
No.
There you go.
I don't believe. No,
there you go.
No,
right.
No.
See, now it's all the truth, right? So,
it'd been infuriating more because it's not the first time it's happened. He's driven drunk before.
Yeah.
Maybe not 156 miles per hour.
Yep.
Maybe he did it when he was in Alabama in college. Maybe he even did it when he was in high school. But at some point, he's done this before, where he's drove drunk. And again, the company you surround. My mom always told me you got to keep somebody real around you. That one person has got to be real about it, whether it's your spouse, your homeboy, somebody got to be that one real person that's going to tell you when your stinks.
Yes.
And it seems to me that he didn't have that person around him that was telling him when it stinks. And this is the situation he got into. Now he's taking another person's life. And the crazy part about it, the psychological part, he got to deal with that. He's got to deal with that. I can't imagine him sitting in a cell he took somebody's life. And not only did he ended his life and his livelihood for his child and his wife.
That's just got to eat you up.
That's
just got to eat you up.
Mm-hmm. He's going. I mean, I can see him going crazy, man, because everything was in his favor. He was an up and coming receiver. He was doing great this year as a rookie, his first year at the Raiders.
Yeah,
he was making an impact on the game and the team. Now it's all gone. It's superly all gone. And again, I just want to condense the condolences of the family, the life they took. I mean, my prayers really go out to them because at the end of the day, right now at this particular point, they're the only victims.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. I want to go back into some of these comments too. And Kier I think this is right too. There's no old school. There's no old heads right? In the Raiders locker room, there's no veterans. There's nobody around the young cats to really wrap them up and say, you know, call me, do the right thing, right? Am I my brother's keeper? Yes, I am. There's none of those cats, none of those folks. So that's unfortunate about that. Before we move on, you got anything else about this particular story, Walter, that you wanted to dive into?
It makes me wonder though when you talk about rookies and when they're drafted, when it comes to the quarterback, the team does so much in investing itself to be able to know every dark secret about that top player, especially if he's a quarterback, because they realize that this is the franchise player, he's going to represent the team. But then when it comes to other players that are drafted maybe in the first round, is the organ. And again, you can't be mom and dad 24/7 and keep a watchful eye over the person. But from a rookie standpoint, a team should have something in place where they can have someone watching their rookies, especially when they're that young, where they can demonstrate a level of maturity where you can kind of let the reins off. Because like, you know, you said, you know, at 23 years old, I mean, I came here to New York. I moved from Detroit. And so was I fully mature and grown and responsible? No, I made some mistakes living up here too. But I needed guidance, and it was a matter of seeking out that guidance and having some people hold me accountable. And I would just think with just in any sport, NFL, NBA, MLB, you have to have certain things in place to kind of keep rookies in a place where you can help them not fall into those pitfalls. And I just find it hard to believe that the Raiders or that, you know, want to wash their hands of it and say, hey, look, we did what we were supposed to do. It's not the first time. It's probably more than one, and it'll come out. It'll come out.
Good point.
Yeah.
Nick Ray Horb. Go ahead, brother.
Just one question, Walter. Like you said, you moved to New York when you was 23 years old. Now magnify that while having millions of dollars in your pocket. How many people would have been?
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? I mean,
sure.
That young man has got a lot of. I mean, you got to think pressure and decisions that he has to make as a 23-year-old, as a person that's supposed to have all this stuff going on. You know what I mean? All these things going on, and the fact, like you said, you don't have that real one in your corner telling you no. I believe someone made the comment. I think he felt he was invincible. I think he did feel he was invincible. Look, I'm 23 years old. I got millions of dollars. I'm driving a Ferrari. I got my girl by my side. I can do what I want to do. You know, and unfortunately, you can't. This brings me back to like the Paul Pierce story a while ago. Remember when he got stabbed going out clubbing and he got stabbed.
Yeah, I remember that.
And he was saying like, you know, he at that point he was like, I'm never going out again like that unless I'm with people that can actually get me to the spot I need to be and get myself out of there. I would hope. I mean, well, we can't hope now. I would hope Henry I don't know, man. I hope there's somewhere he can get a silver lining out of the situation. But I just don't. I don't see him, and I hate to see young people's lives just gone. And unfortunately, this is another African American athlete life ruined, gone. And he could have did so much impact in a positive way.
Exactly. Appreciate the comments from the folks that are listening and watching it as well, man, and some definitely good commentary going on back and forth. And we're confused as to this whole thing ourselves, and it's gonna flush out though. Someone asked in the comments, you know, again, how long was he drinking? Where was he at? How can he be driving at this speed and on these city streets? It's gonna flush out, and it's not gonna look good, unfortunately, for anybody involved. Let's move on. Let's keep in football, and we got another bad story. We got another, man. I'm actually also very disappointed about this story because this dude was I thought was cool, right? He had the cool little Halloween costume. He fooled us. No, you know what? He fooled me. He fooled you. He fooled everyone. So Aaron Rodgers messed around and got COVID. Okay. You know, a lot of people got COVID and, you know, dealing with it and are going through treatment and things of that. But for all this time, the man has put the wool, is that it? Put the wool over our eyes and told us some things that weren't true. He's been lying to the NFL. He's been lying to his fans. He's been lying to everyone. I guess he hadn't been lying to himself because he knew he wasn't telling the truth. But essentially, he told folks that he was vaccinated. but come to find out, he has had no shots, and now he's got COVID. Now he's sitting out because he is positive. I'm disappointed in the fact that the man. Why did he feel the need to lie about this, folks? Yeah, you can have whatever feeling that you have about getting the vaccine. You may be hesitant, you may be intimidated, you may think you got the antibodies, whatever. But Craig, you ain't got to lie. You know, it's my old Friday reference right there. But and then someone again, I'm unfortunately, I must say the role model thing, but someone who a lot of people looked up as kind of just kind of a cool dude. He would get in front of the press conferences with the Packers and kind of speak his mind and kind of tell the truth and kind of stick it to the man kind of thing. We felt that at the beginning of the season, right? Because his money wasn't right and he wasn't really feeling how the organization was going. So fans actually appreciated the way he talked to the organization and talked to the media. Come to find out, the man is just not truthful, and I can't believe him for nothing anymore. Talk to us a little bit about this story, this situation right here, the fact that Aaron Rodgers has COVID, that's one story. Okay. But the fact that he lied to the organization, he lied to everyone around the NFL about this situation as well. And what the ramifications do you think that this is going to have? Walter, let's start with you, brother.
What he teaches me is that superstars, and I'm not trying to paint a broad brush on the superstars of the NFL, that they're liars, but they are trained how to talk to the media. First of all, you have to learn how to be able to talk to the media. You got to be able to answer the right questions the right way, so that way you can look good, the team can look good, and the media gets what they want. So he is trained in skill in that sense. But what this speaks to me is, you lied about this. So this whole narrative that you had ESPN out here on the East Coast, I don't know what it is in the West Coast. On the East Coast, the narrative was Aaron Rodgers is a saint. He wears a white robe. He can do nothing wrong. And the Packers are doing him wrong to the nth degree. When the truth of the matter is, he had an agenda and a narrative that he wanted to spin so that it would profit him. And so now that this has come out about him lying about COVID, it now pulls into question his character, about everything that was said about him this whole summer, about him saying, I want to lead the Packers.
Yeah.
And it was never really about money. It's always about money with most players like him.
Yeah.
And so he's fortunate that he's in was it Wisconsin, Green Bay, Milwaukee. He's fortunate, because if he was in New York, you think it's a story now? If he was in New York or Los Angeles,
talk about that.
He would really have issues, because now he would be looking at possible criminal charge. If he was in Toronto, the talk of criminal charges and him being incarcerated would be high. Now, would it happen? Probably not. But if he was in any other of those states, he would have a serious issue. But it also now calls into question who else is playing the game that he's playing.
There you go.
Been playing. Who else is playing now?
So right there. So I'm gonna pause you right there, because I see Montel. I see his toes are tapping right now. He got something he want to say, and actually Kevin may have kind of pointed in this direction of where you want to go. Right? It's not just. It can't just be him, right? There's got to be other folks within the Green Bay Packer organization who knew what was going on. Talk about it.
Absolutely. No one as high profile as Aaron Rodgers is. You mean to tell me that they didn't know he was an unvaccinated player?
Yeah,
they did. They thought they could get away with something. Not only Aaron thought he can get away with it, because as long as they ain't asking, he's like, I ain't answering. I'm good. The Green Bay organization thought they can get away. As long as we don't report it and nobody says nothing, we cool. And they have been cool for the last 8 weeks. They've been fine.
Yeah.
Now that he got it,
right
now it's leaked out he hasn't had a shot and all that stuff. Let's be real. Like he just said before earlier, they do all that investigation on quarterbacks when they're drafted. They do all that investigation on quarterbacks all year round. They making sure their franchise player, even if he's a disgruntled player, they make sure they know everything that's going on about him. And COVID is one of the most important things they're going to know
right
because
now.
they know
Yes,
how
sir.
to jeopardize.
Yep.
My one issue with this whole thing is the irresponsibility of Aaron Rodgers not being vaccinated and having the possibility he could have spread it to a lot of people.
Yeah.
If he was on the field. That's the one part that I'm disappointed in him is. But as far as him being a liar and all that stuff, you hit it right on the head, Walter. He's telling the media what the media's asking. He ain't answering no more. He ain't telling no less. He's just saying exactly the answer to the question and moving on. I'm faulting him for being irresponsible. I'm faulting him for not saying, you know what, I'm gonna take the initiative to go get the shot. But I'm gonna fault the organization too. Yeah. You knew that this was a situation. Why didn't you make sure he got vaccinated or make sure everything, the protocols are all in place to make sure he was taken care of if this was going to happen? Because I'm telling you right now, he's a $50 million a year man. You know everything, the insides and outs.
Yes, sir. Yeah. Yeah, he has that driver, right? We were talking about Mr. Ruggs, right? Aaron doesn't drive anywhere. He's got people, right?
Absolutely.
And so there's a lot of folks that are involved with this, and like what you guys are saying, like what Kier's saying as well, right? Aaron could be up for punishment. The Packers should be up for some type of punishment. Somebody, this is going to unfold into an ugly situation, and in terms of why we didn't hear about this for eight and a half weeks.
Yeah, I'm thinking they're going to lose the draft picks. Obviously, they'll lose draft picks in the draft for endangering people. I think Aaron will be suspended for a certain amount of time.
Yeah.
But he don't care. He ain't trying to be there anyway. So I don't think that really phases him either way or other. He doesn't care if they win a Super Bowl, great, I go out on top. If I don't, I'm out of here next year anyway. So I don't really think he cares either way, whichever way it goes. Like I said, him being irresponsible, him not doing that, and like Kier just said, if he was a person of color that did the same thing, it would have been a whole different ball game.
Imagine if that was Dak Prescott. Oh my gosh!
Talk about there's kind of a hidden story that I actually wanted to talk about, right? So talk about that as well. So because Walter, you talk about different locations, right? Yeah, he was in a different state or whatever the case may be. But if he was one of us, right? If he looked different than what he does, it would be a different conversation. And we're not making this up, folks. This is just reality. Right. It doesn't matter if you are the star quarterback. It doesn't matter if you are the star running back or wide out or whatever the case may be. There is that social impact conversation that we need to have. And that's why we have these with folks. It may prick people the wrong way sometime, but go into that just a little bit more, you two.
Oh, man. I think, like I said, go ahead, Walter. Go ahead. I'll let you speak first.
No, the reason why I say that because when the media has an agenda of wanting to push something to keep ratings and keep you in front of the TV, and we talked about this yesterday, James, when you should be busy making your own content, they got you consuming their content. And so if this is a person of color, you're going to be on every Sports Center breaking news. You'll make Good Morning America. You'll make Today's Show. You're going to make all the top things. And so we have to kind of understand that component when the media wants to push an agenda and it does have something where it's a quarterback of color, they're going to ride that to the umpteenth degree. And they're going to be calling, like you said, for suspensions. And the simple fact that is Aaron Rodgers, they're going to do their very best to try to be politically correct and kind of give him his punishment and say, well, he was wrong. We'll give him like 1 to 2 games. No, I'm calling Roger Goodell out tonight. You say you want to protect the integrity of the shield. Well, Rodgers has just took some black oil and put it right on the shield.
Yeah, man. I mean, that's right on point. Greatly said. Won't be done because Aaron Rodgers is a money making machine for the NFL. I think they will do some punishment, but I think it would be to the minimal that they can probably do, or just a minimal to make sure the people out there don't go crazy, or just to show that they are behind us. So they're going to do some kind of enforcement. His irresponsibility though is a tall tale to me. Him being irresponsible like that is really funny. But I'm telling you, man, that organization knew. They knew. And it's sad that they knew, because I'm telling you, like I said before, if it was a person of color And I don't even care if it was a starter. If it was a bench player of color, he'd have been cut and not have a job no more.
Oh,
And
yeah,
that's a
definitely.
starter and as a player of color. Hey, you would be scrutinized all over the news. And one of the person's comments, I don't know which one said it. He said, "Look at the Kyrie Irving situation.
Right.
Blasted on the news for 2 weeks in a row. Whether you agree with Kyrie or not, Kyrie just refuses to get the vaccination and whatnot, and he's scrutinized.
Yeah,
under the situation. This guy doesn't have the vaccination, played anyway, put hundreds of players in jeopardy, and he will get, I think, minimal punishment.
So that's the narrative that I'm going to make sure that we check and watch for, because that's exactly what it is. So appreciate that, Nick Clark, for bringing that up. Right, look and see what Kyrie is doing. One of the big three in Brooklyn, right? The man is movie star athlete. He's a philanthropist. He's doing things behind the scenes for the community.
He's a Duke graduate. He's smart.
Well, see, he's smart, but he still think the world is flat. So I got problems with.
He's a smart man, though. He's a Duke graduate.
That's
right?
true.
But yeah, he's doing some good things. But we're gonna talk about that, right? What happens with Kyrie versus what happens with Aaron Rodgers, and when Aaron makes that next conversation in front of the press corps.
Kyrie was crucified. Aaron will not be, because the media won't steer it that way. They will not steer it that way. I'm telling you. Yeah. The NFL only has 32 starting quarterbacks, and they only have 6 or 7 elite. And Aaron Rodgers is 1 or 2 or 3 in that elite class. They are not going to tarnish him.
That's true.
So you believe Roger Goodell doesn't have the courage to be able to stand up and make a statement with Roger?
I think his pay grade is beneath making that kind of decision.
Okay. All right.
I think the 32 owners will be like, yo, there is no way we're going to suspend him for this game, because you know what? Aaron Rodgers sells out the Green Bay Stadium every time he plays.
Yes,
Aaron Rodgers sells out the stadiums when he goes and plays other places.
Everywhere he plays.
Aaron Rodgers generates us millions of dollars with his jersey and his money and everything. Make him make an apology statement. Take some of the heat as an organization, and let's keep it moving. Because the bottom line is money to be made, and you can't make money without that superstar being on the field.
I'm going to put this comment up here, and it goes right in line with that. So what Nick Rahor is saying, when you're at the level of Rodgers and anything other person with the level of power and control, the number of yes people under you is enough to change any narrative. Aaron Rodgers is on that. He's at that Brady level. He really is. He hasn't won all the championships or anything, but from a popular culture perspective, Mr. Discount, double check, Mr. All that, right? So that's what you think about. Folks who may not be sports fans, that's what they see and that's what they think about. He's at that popular culture level, right? He did. I started out with the joke, right? He did a pretty cool thing for Halloween. We were all wondering, and why you letting your hair grow, brother? You know, you don't have a barber, you don't have anybody to cut. So he went out and did the what's the character? The Keanu Reeves character.
Oh, from John Wick or something like that.
Yeah, so that's what he was doing, right? So when we heard that before this story broke, we said, "Oh, see that man, Rodgers is cool." But now we hear this, so this definitely outweighs and overshadows in any of those things that he's doing outside of the game of football. But it's a shame. It's a shame. Laura Williams, appreciate you for that. We trying to do it right. This is what we do.
I mean, he's also prepping for his next career after football, and that's to be a politician. I'm not saying what party he's going to be. I have my own opinion of what party.
Him and Brett Favre are definitely doing some things out there. We can get into that too. We don't have enough time in the night to go. But you never know, right? He probably is, but this is not going to look good when he goes up against some opponent. Right, you lied to one of the most powerful organizations in the country.
But see, you keep saying he lied. I'm telling you, the organization knew. They covered.
The organization knew.
They knew. He ain't lied. No one said, "Hey, Aaron Rodgers, did you get your shots?" No one asked him that directly.
Okay. I stand corrected. I appreciate it. Yeah. I stand corrected.
Have you been COVID protocol cleared? I've been protocol cleared since I've been started.
Yeah.
So the organization knew, and don't believe for 1 minute they didn't know. Just like they knew about my man down in Texas, about his situation.
Yeah.
They knew about Aaron Rodgers. And matter of fact, I would beg to say that they're the only organization. They're not the only organization that knew Aaron wasn't tested. I'm sure They know that, man, you got to remember, it's only 32 owners. That's a close net situation. That's 32 friends that you got that you're going about. And people talk amongst each other.
Yeah.
There's only 32 GMs. There's only 32 free agents. You know.
Right. Yeah.
Well,
They
there's only those guys.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I they knew, man. I don't say he lied. I just think somebody did a mass cover up and got caught.
I stand corrected. I appreciate that. I love that. That's good. We got a lot of commentary going on about this too.
And add one more point.
Go ahead, man.
To add one more point, the simple fact that he had the narrative with ESPN about how the Green Bay Packers was treating him.
Yes.
The simple fact that the Green Bay Packers knew about that.
Yeah.
And then they see what's going on with Kyrie here in New York.
Yeah.
And then they say, okay, if we let this get public, then now we can be accused of we knowing this publicly and letting him have a double standard in terms of how he should be treated versus unvaccinated versus vaccinated. They knew, and they took a risk and a gamble, and they lost.
Let me pull this question up here from Nick. Other players in the league have chosen not to get the vaccine. How is this different if DeAndre Hopkins gets COVID? Man.
Because he's going through the protocol every week. He's getting tested as many times they need him to get tested every week. He's going through whatever Arizona's protocol is to go through it. And he hasn't denied saying or played the fact that he's gotten vaccinated. He hasn't acted like, hey, I got vaccinated and everything's okay. Aaron Rodgers, everybody thought he was vaccinated and okay, or the assumption when he was vaccinated, okay.
Yeah.
And then he goes out there and plays. He was, he's hugging other quarterbacks after the game, saying
no
good luck.
On.
He could have spread it about. So there's a whole different dynamic kind of going on there. He just did, man. He was just being so irresponsible, and it's sad that the I would say Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers thought they can kind of get away with it as long as they could, and didn't say anything about it or take the proper protocol to get him vaccinated to finish off the season.
Got you. Man, it's crazy. If I had to give you a team, Jets or the Colts, who you got a dog in the fight? Oh, I shouldn't have said that. God, dude, that's a Michael Vick thing there. God, I shouldn't have.
Okay, got that reference. No, I don't have a dog in that fight. Jets or Colts. Well, maybe the Colts. I want to see. Everyone's beating up on Carson Wentz. I want to see Wentz come out.
Well, them Colts are hurting them Jets right now, 42-10. I just want to bring that in right quick, 42-10. So another football story as we move on. Football is just the top of the conversation tonight, and unfortunately, the stories aren't great stories. This one right here, right? Young fellas, Crenshaw High School, Los Angeles area. Dominant football team for them young dudes out there. They cannot play though. They cannot play in their playoffs. Why? They don't have enough players who are COVID negative. They
are vaccinated. No, haven't been vaccinated.
Vaccinated. That's it. I said it wrong in the pre-show as well. But so this is a picture of their coach, and I believe they have to have a total of 18 or so players, and at the current rate, they only have 15 players that are vaccinated, so they cannot play in the playoffs, and they had to forfeit the game against Southeast, and Southeast has now progressed to the quarterfinals because these young dudes cannot play in their game. Unfortunate situation, but your guys' thoughts on this whole situation right here? When it's so right now, it's the youngsters that we can talk at a whole different perspective and a whole different level about grown men, but now we got young guys, right? We got 15, 16, 17-year-old young adults that can't get out there and fulfill their thing. They haven't got the vaccine. Their decision, their parents' decision, whatever the case may be, but that's the story that's happening right now in Los Angeles. Yeah, as of last Friday, school officials said only 13 players were fully vaccinated. Yeah.
I saw the interview with one of the players last night on TV, and he had aspirations of going to college and showcasing his talent on the field, and that won't happen, because the playoffs. This is the time where scouts are traveling, they are going to see other players, and now that opportunity is lost for them. And he said that, him and his parents had decided not to get it and that he regretted not getting the vaccination. So now we're not only seeing the vaccination take a toll on people's just health. Now we're seeing how it's shaping opportunities for young men and young people as it is. If you don't get it, it's like they're cutting off your opportunity to play and participate, which is crazy that we would think about this. Speaking from 4 years ago, we'd be like, "Oh, it's all good," but now this is a thing, man. You have to be vaccinated in order to participate, unfortunately. And the decisions that, hey, I choose to get not vaccinated or I choose not to go into these things, then you're also choosing not to participate because it's part of the rules now within our society that you have to be vaccinated. And I feel I empathize for these young men. I hope some of them still get an opportunity to play at the collegiate level. But if they don't, man, I mean, it's a decision that their parents and them made, unfortunately, that's going to cost them. And I'm really sad for them.
Yeah. I have to agree with them. When you make that decision to say, when my household is going to choose not to be vaccinated, or my son is not going to choose to be vaccinated, you're taking a big risk and a gamble. I would think, though, at the same time, as long as you have some type of testing in place and they understand that the testing is not the full proof of keeping you from not catching, but the goal is, if you want to become a champion and winning on a high school level, so that way college recruits, scouts can see you, that there has to be that motivation, or that carrot, if you will, to keep you in front, to say, okay, I got to keep myself from being in a place where I can catch that. Now, that's easy to say, especially when you're young like that, but it kind of reminds me of the Coach Carter. Coach Carter movie, that he was able to put certain things in front of the student athlete to say, this is bigger than you winning a championship. It's the team. And I believe that there are high school coaches that are like a Coach Carter. But you just got to be able to have that mentality, regardless if it's COVID, regardless if it's, fame and money. You got to have that type of Coach Carter to keep in front of your players, to say, there's a bigger picture here. So I
Yeah.
always down that
Yeah.
one.
I think it's a good analogy. I believe that these young men, and someone said the state of California is that way, and unfortunately it is that way, but we know where we live and we have to abide by the rules. I think New York is probably the same way as well, with the drastic amount of COVID cases they had. So at some point, those young men had to know week 1, week 3, week 5, week 7, hey, we're not going to be able to go unless you get vaccinated. And that was plenty of time for them to go in and get vaccinated, and plenty of time for them to do the research to see what it all happens and what goes on. And unfortunately, I hate to say it, but it's in the urban community, which Crenshaw is in. And we have a lot of conspiracy theories about the vaccine, whether, it's good for you or not good for you. And I think that culture bought into it, not taking it, or at least the only 13 took it and the other ones didn't want to take it. Whether it was family or just the young men bought into the conspiracy theories about what it can do to you, what's going to happen to you, or what side effects are. But now they see themselves that they were affected by the situation by not being able to participate. And I don't think this is the first time we're going to hear about this. I think we're going to start hearing about this in other sports, and it probably happened in other places. It just didn't get publicized.
Right.
You have to get vaccinated. This is something that we're going to be living with for the rest of our lives now, that we're going to have to be able to deal with. And I joke about it every day, and it is a joke, but I say I'd rather get the vaccination right now and worry about what's going to happen maybe 20 years from now than die right now from catching COVID or having a situation where I'm in hospital by COVID right now.
Make it plain, brother. Make it plain.
Yeah. Right. So let me deal with this 20 years from now, because by that time they'll have a cure and everything is going on if there is a problem with it. But I'd rather live right now. I'd rather live to see my kids grow now. I don't want to be hospitalized to that extreme where I'm going to have to be on a ventilator or any of those situations right now if I catch it. Now, I know these young men are asymptomatic. They're good athletes that are in shape. But, I mean, you're flirting with a situation where it's not just you. You can spread it to your uncle, to your cousin, to your grandmother who doesn't have, who's asymptomatic or who has binding conditions that can affect them. So, I mean, parents got to really get involved and do research. Our culture African American culture and Latin, Black and brown cultures. We need to really get educated,
be involved
on what's going on and how this affects us, because we are the ones that are dying at alarming rates that no one knows about. They don't report on us dying. They don't report on those grandmas dying in those homes and in those apartments that nobody knows about because she caught COVID, didn't know how to deal with it.
Yeah.
They don't report on all that. They report on just the mass numbers. But we have a lot of Black and brown people that are caught up in this situation that think they know what's going on. Man, this is a deteriorating disease that is killing people. We need to really, be educated, get the vaccination, understand what's going on, and let's continue our lives and continue to grow. Because if we don't, a lot of young men are going to be in the same situation like those young men. Yeah. They won't be able to participate.
Well,
and I'm going to tell you right now,
the
crazy part about it is funny because one of the young men said he wanted to go to college. From my experience, and I have a son that's playing college football right now, you have to be tested. There is no getting around it. You have to be vaccinated. If you are not vaccinated, you cannot participate at all. As a matter of fact, if you're not vaccinated, you are confined to your room and not even be able to go to your classes.
Crazy.
You have to stay in your room until everything is done. So it's funny that his coaches, like I said, you had 1, 3, 5, 7 weeks to explain this all to these kids and these parents, and they still did nothing about it.
Yeah, man, it's terrible, man. You're right. It's the new normal. It's the new world that we live in, and it's too bad for those youngsters out there that are trying to do that. I feel you, Nick. I feel you. Kind of respectfully hate this topic. It's part of dividing our country even further. It's one of those things, and man, we're picking at it, right? Because this is what we do. Because not enough people are having these types of conversations that make you feel awkward and make you feel uncomfortable. I think we all get better if we at least have the dialogue and have the conversation, man. So I appreciate you being here and listening and contributing. But I think this is the healing part, right? Just at least we got to at least talk about it and have the conversation. So, Nick, I don't want you sitting at the house with an ulcer, right? Because you feel a way and you don't want to talk about it, or the person next to you at the coffee shop doesn't want to talk about it as well. When it's a really critical situation, and at least we need to have the dialogue. And I think we only get better if we talk about these types of things, man. So I appreciate you again for being part of the community and chiming in, brother. Man, we don't have no good stories. So, okay, here we go. Because it only kind of gets worse. We could either go and talk about Odell Beckham and the Cleveland Browns and the fact that they've broken up because OBJ has played his last game. We talk about that. But we have to switch and talk about the NBA and what's going on in Phoenix. So
let's talk about the NBA.
Okay, man. But
NBA.
Folks, stick around because there will be one good story at the end. At least I've got some pictures from Instagram that I want to show. It matters to me, and it's a good story. But man, I know we pulling on the heartstrings quite a bit here tonight. Let me get this up here. So. Oh, what you got? The bat phone calling? Somebody calling you? What is it?
Oh, Lord.
You're talking too deep right now.
Yeah, we getting into it. Folks are calling you, you know what I'm saying? You better talk having these conversations. Man, Phoenix Suns are in the spotlight right now, and it's not a good spotlight to be in. It's not because of their rebuilding, trying to correct what they did last season in the finals. Mr. Robert Carver, owner for over 17 years of the Phoenix Suns, is now it's coming to light that he has some very misogynistic, some very racist types of feelings, and he's made mention of those, and it's coming to light right now. There's going to be investigations by the NBA. Adam Silver is a decent commissioner because he stays on top of a lot of things. Even when the whole Black Lives Matter conversations were happening, he let the players do what the players needed to do, and he is very active in the league. And immediately he is now saying that there's going to be some investigations in terms of what the Phoenix Suns and Mr. Robert Sarver have been doing. Your guys' thoughts on this? Because we went through this with the Clippers not too long ago. We went through this with Washington
Dallas Mavericks.
The Dallas Mavericks. Not too long ago as well. This now is popping up, and it's not looking good. It's looking very ugly. Again, just a pattern within the organization, starting at the top with Robert Sarver. Give us your thoughts on this. I'll start with you, Walter, again.
Well, because of the climate and the times that we're living in, the way you used to do business umpteen years ago, 40, 50 years ago, is not going to permit certain owners or people in senior management to conduct and act and behave in such a way where this gentleman is doing. And it's sad, but it needs to come to light so that you can then be able to address the sickness or the illness, the disease that this person is spreading. We talked about how people can spread COVID, where he has a type of disease where he is spreading it, and he's created a toxic, hostile work environment. If I'm quite sure at some point we have all on this panel worked in a toxic, hostile work environment where it starts to affect your health. It affects you physically. It affects you mentally. It affects you in terms of soon you walk in that door, you feel like someone's hit you with a refrigerator upside your head. And now that this has come to light, my prayer and my desire is that they go ahead and address it and deal with it. It may require him to have to relinquish his ownership of the team, similar just like what happened to Donald Sterling. Because when you have that many accusations leveled against you, and I heard Earl Watson earlier this morning, and how he was saying that there are people who are in fear of their jobs because they want to speak, but they're afraid of the ramifications of that. And so that goes against everything that you've been taught in HR, that there won't be any retaliation based on the environment that he has created. So I'm hoping that once the NBA does their investigation, we're not looking by June, where maybe by the All-Star break, there's a decision to say, okay, this man is going to step down, and the Phoenix is going to go through a complete overhaul of their organization from top to bottom, just like the Dallas Mavericks did, because it is going to require accountability. We saw it here, unfortunately, with here in the state of New York with Governor Cuomo, in terms of his actions and his behavior. When you have that many allegations leveled against you like that, eventually you're going to have to remove the individual from that and just start all over again.
That's an interesting point. I'm gonna let you chime in, but I'm gonna interject, and I don't know if this man is gonna walk away.
You're right. He's not going to walk away. He's going to have to be removed.
You know what's funny? I had the pleasure of meeting this man before. I met this man before.
Okay.
I sat right next to him during a Warriors game. Ironically, in Golden State, we were chopping it up. Didn't really get that vibe from him. He's just the owner. A little bit arrogant, but of course you can be.
Yeah.
I didn't get that vibe from him, but looking at the stories and reading his comments, or at least his statements through his legal team.
Yeah.
I don't think he knows. Like, he doesn't think he's doing anything wrong, and that's a problem in itself. Let's be honest. That's a problem in itself.
I see where you're going. Go further into that. Yeah.
He just thinks it's not a problem. He think he could say, like Earl Watson, his thing was like when he used the N-word to describe, when that situation that happened, and Earl told him you can't use that word, and he's like, why? Draymond does it. How come I can't say it?
Yeah.
And when you're in a person of power, you feel you can do anything you want, right? People that are in power feel they can do anything they want and say anything they want and kind of do what they want to do. I don't think he understands the things he's doing is creating that culture, if that makes sense. He thinks it's okay because that's in his eyes, it is okay. As far as the misogynistic culture and the things that he's doing like that, parading his wife around and all those kind of things, that's crazy. I don't get that behavior at all. What's going on as far as the pictures and all that stuff he was sending around. I just believe this guy. I believe the NBA needs to address this situation, really do a thorough figure out what's going on, and then take corrective action with that, what that may be. Because ignorance is bliss. If you don't know you're doing something wrong and you don't feel you're doing something wrong, then you don't know what's wrong. Not saying he doesn't know. Obviously, you can't use the N-word. Somebody should have punched him in his mouth and he'd been fine with
yeah.
He understood.
I was going to ask you, right? Did his team win the night that y'all was together, and did he end up slipping and saying
something?
Know
what's funny, man? They lost. And I brought my brother-in-law with me, and my brother-in-law was a big Warriors fan, and my brother-in-law was a real heckler talking trash, and he was getting hot. He was mad. He was like, "Hey, you can move." He was telling my brother, "You can move." And my brother was all like, "Who are you to tell me what to move?" And he was like, "I own this damn team and I own these seats. You can move." And my brother was like, "Man, shut up and watch the game." So they were going back and forth at it, but it was in a good. It wasn't in a bad place. It was in a good place. And the Warriors actually won. That's when they were hot. But like I said, I don't think I don't know how to say it, man. I ain't gonna say he's a racist or right out a racist, but he is a racist. You know what I'm saying? By the comments he says, he just doesn't know that he's a racist. You know, he's just doing things because he thinks that's what he could do because I got all this money and this is what I could do. I can say these things because I got all this money and I'm the owner and I can say what I want to say. Yeah. Obviously, in today's culture, that doesn't fly no more. Yeah. So, there needs to be some more investigation because the stuff they brought up so far, I mean, it's racial tendencies and some things going on. But man, you got to poke the bear a little bit more to get me to say, "Hey, this dude is crazy out of his mind." He's just doing some like Donald Sterling was crazy. Like he had videotapes of him doing stuff. He had emails and the whole 9 yards. Yeah. This right here is all hearsay. Let's not forget. I do think he said the N-word to Earl Watson. I think Earl Watson corrected him on it and checked him on there. Mm-hmm. But I think there was no more follow-up. He never educated himself like, why can't I say that? Or what's the big deal? He just, I can't say that around Earl no more.
Can't say it around him. Yeah, just brushed it off and said,
It's one of those situations. You know what I mean? So, there's got to be some action, man. And I don't know what it may be. I hope Donald Sterling. I hope the Commissioner Silver does his thorough investigation, finds out exactly what's going on, figure it out, because they got something great going on in Phoenix. You know what I mean? They do. Monty Williams is a head coach, which is one of the best humanitarians in basketball is coaching. You got Chris Paul, who's an advocate for players. That does all the right things for players in that organization. They're winning. They got a budding superstar in Devin Booker. They just won the Western Conference Championship, to get to the finals. You got a lot of good things going on. And for somebody to poke this hole at the bear to see what's going on, this wrong, I hope they just do some investigation to see exactly what the whole situation is. And let's not, I know a lot of us are jumping to conclusions, but like I said, I think ignorance is bliss. I think he doesn't realize what he's doing and what he's saying. I truly believe that.
But didn't we just say that about John Gruden at first before all became light when the first
I would agree.
Mike Tirico and I'm trying to think of the other person that was on with him, and they were saying he never act that way around us when we were ESPN. This was at their very early beginnings. And then as stuff began to trickle out, and then once the floodgates opened, it was like, okay. And so Walter, I'm of the opinion. Go ahead.
I'll give you that. If more leaks out and more comes out, I'll be the first one to come on the show and say he's a racist. That dude's a bigot. He's all that stuff. But I'm saying for what they presented to us right now,
sure.
I have a problem with just saying, that dude's completely he's crazy. He's out of line. He's doing all these crazy things. And I guess because the whole story hasn't unfolded yet. When the whole story unfolds, I'll probably have a different perspective on it. I do believe he's done some racial things. He's done some misogynistic things. But do I truly believe the guy is just flat out, I got the white hood on and I'm burning the cross? I'm not sure that's guy. I don't think that about Gruden either. I don't think he's the guy with Gruden he got poor taste in the way he articulates himself.
Good point. That's a real good point. Right. That's a good point.
Okay.
Interesting stuff, man. It's again, hate having to have these conversations, but we got to have these conversations because I can guarantee you nobody else is going to go into them as deep as we are, folks. This is what we do here at Team No Sleep. And throw this up here. Look, Montel and I are always trying to shake them trees, shake them leaves and branches, right? And stir up the conversation, stir up the discussion. So don't hate us for bringing it to the table with us. We all gonna eat, but we got to say our grace and we all got to talk about it first. So if you like what we're hearing, tell somebody. If you don't like what you're hearing, tell us so we can take it into consideration and see if we need to pivot. But we think we on to something. I was me and Montel were talking earlier this morning. I was looking at some metrics, and we got a handful of folks actually checking this out, and we know that behind the scenes. Here's my conspiracy theory. What's happening is there's folks from the major networks watching Team No Sleep, and then tomorrow ABC, NBC, CBS, Fox, whatever they're gonna talk about the stories that we dove into. But that's just me being a conspiracy theorist on our side. But Yeah, this is what we do, folks. Appreciate y'all for jumping in. I want to end on a happy story, a better story. Goodness gracious. I was not cheering for them, but they pulled it out. World Series, Atlanta Braves. Man, Montel knows that I wanted the story. I wanted the story of actually Dusty Baker playing against the Giants. Right, because I know he used to coach for the Giants, and then now he's out there in Houston. And then I wanted Dusty to win because he hasn't won one yet. But that last game, and let me tell you something. Atlanta was not playing around. Atlanta was really trying to make some noise, and a shutout, 7-0. You guys, I'm sure you guys checked out the game. You guys watched that?
Well, yeah. I checked out most of it, especially when it got close to the end, and it was like, okay, Atlanta is getting ready to wrap this up, because I remember back, was it 95 when they beat us, the Yankees?
Yeah.
When they ended up winning their World Series, and to see them come around and knowing that Ron Washington was on that team,
There it is.
that was definitely something I wanted to see, because of course Dustin, he couldn't pull it off. So I said, okay, at least Ron is finally gonna get him one after multiple shots. But I do also have another good good story for you when we're done with this topic. But I'm just glad what the Braves have done, and despite all what happened with the Astros, and the Dodgers are the Dodgers.
Yeah.
So,
Okay. Well, actually, not you throwing curveballs at us. We'll go into your story. How long we been live? Okay.
Well, let me just chime in real quick.
Go ahead, buddy.
Happy for Atlanta to win. I'm happy for I wish Dusty would have won too, just to kind of pull it off. But I'm happy for Atlanta to win. Did a great thing. The story to this whole thing, to me, out of all this whole thing, why is baseball not the leading subject no more during the World Series on any station? You used to be World Series was the number one show. You catching the highlights and everybody's talking about it, even the celebration. That's backstory news now to other sports and other situations. Okay. And I alluded to this before, James. MLB they better get their stuff together, because they paying all that money, and the fans aren't. I would say not the fans. The diehard fans are there, but the next generation is not there.
The youngsters aren't there. That's an interesting point, and that's a true point, right? Because again, there was not a lot of folks who are close to it, who have been waiting for, again, the 20 years or so since they last did it, have been watching it and feel this. But everyone else has moved on, right? Moved on to stories like this down below, right? MMA or whatever the case may be, or talking about Posey and the fact that he announced his retirement. That's a small thing, but again, that's baseball as well. But it's football, it's hockey, it's lacrosse, it's soccer, it's all the other sports beside the quote unquote American pastime. Man, okay.
Yeah. That's a story for another show. We'll do that on another show.
And Laura, interesting thing. She says it's boring. I know it's long. It's definitely we've had this conversation before. It's a mental game. I always look at baseball because I played a lot, and it's around the strategy, specifically from the manager's perspective. That's how I watch the game. That's how I can live through 3 hours of a baseball game, right?
Okay.
Just understanding and knowing what's going on with the plays. But 3 hours
Laura,
is a long time.
I'm with Laura. It need to be the juice ball syndrome. They need to get these boys on steroids again, so we can have some exciting times in baseball. Cause
nothing wrong with corking the bat, right? You down
man,
with that?
It's just, that's like watching paint dry for at least 7 innings, and then it's a little exciting. So, Lori, I share the same sentiments.
I think you also got to have a narrative with it, because I think the last game that I saw fully to beginning to the end was Mariano Rivera. And watching Jeter, watching Pettit, and I'm trying to think of the other person that came out with him to take Rivera out of the game after he did his, because that we knew that was Mariano Rivera's last game. There was a narrative that captured me as the casual fan. So if you're trying to get me as a casual fan to watch 3 hours, you got to have a narrative for a casual fan to say, I want to watch that. Another good narrative that I watch every year is when they come to the Little League World Series and they play a game at what's it called out there in Pennsylvania, where they after having the Little League World Series, and the major league players are interacting with the younger people. So you have a narrative there every year that's consistent, that I'm like, okay, I will watch that. Even though it's a 9-inning game, I'll watch that because they're showing the interaction with the younger people during the
But
Little
Walter,
League
Walter,
World Series.
I'm gonna interject though. When the
Okay.
ball was juiced and dudes was on steroids, jacking 50, 60 home runs.
Oh yeah, I was
You was
watching it.
watching. Yeah,
I was watching Barry Bonds every moment. Every time ESPN said breaking news, Barry Bonds is at the plate. Yes,
I want to
I
see
was
Barry
watching.
Bonds, McGuire,
Yes.
Sosa, Griffey. When they was going for that home run race, man, that was when baseball was at its best.
Mhm.
I know everybody wants to talk about the strategy, and I know you baseball story, but man, baseball was at its best when that ball was juiced.
Oh,
Them dudes, they had me on the edge. I mean, when you
Every
hit 40
time
home
Barry
runs, and they was
came
like,
to the
you
plate.
insignificant hitting 40 home runs.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you had to hit 60 just to be in the conversation. That's what I'm talking about. And that's when we was all following it.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, you know, it came out that they was juicing and all that stuff. But man,
Mm-hmm.
that's baseball. They can talk about all that other stuff. That's baseball's hot golden era right there. That's like 90s of hip hop right there. That was the gangster baseball.
That's true.
That's
That's
gangster
true.
baseball.
The
When
old
Tupac and
school
Biggie going
gangster
at
baseball.
Look at you.
I love it. Baseball hasn't been popular since Sosa, McGuire, but don't you think this World Series is better than recent years? Well, I think so. And I
Yes.
just because I watch and report on it, I did watch a lot of the games, but yeah, it hasn't been as cool, right? Since them dudes were out there, the Bash brothers, and you know, and they were out there doing their thing, and you know, we still want Barry to get in. He's got an asterisk around his name. We'll see what happens. And Pete wrote back in the day, right? But we'll figure something out. We'll figure something out. Let me bring up one comment here, and then we're going to wrap up. Walter, we're going to go into the statement that you wanted to talk about, but I want to be aware of this. Laura, so yeah, talk about the NASCAR situation and the Brandon statements, social impact story. We had so many tonight. Right, that we weren't able to get into that conversation. I think this is going to continue to evolve. I don't know if it's ready to even talk about right now. Right, it's just at kind of the infancy of what's going on right there with the NASCAR scene, and it's more of a political conversation, right? So I was actually consciously waiting a couple of days to see how that fleshed out, and then maybe we'll talk about that next week, and I'll let Montel and everyone know about that. So I just wanted to make folks aware of that. Rich Vibes, good to see you, brother. Good to see he's over there in the UK. It's probably 2:00 in the morning where he is, right? It's already Friday, right? He already, it's the DJ right here in the UK. He probably getting his Technique 1200s out, getting ready to spin and do some things. Nick Clark, I feel that NFL, NBA create storylines and pump up their players and create superstars. Baseball doesn't have a LeBron or Brady.
I've said that so many times. How many times I've been saying that?
Ding.
That's true.
There it is. Mic drop right there from Nick Clark. Walter, what you got, brother? You said you got something for us.
Oh yeah, no, the one feel good story that I really think is I saw President Obama come on ESPN and he congratulated Tony and Michael Wilbon over 20 years of Pardon the Interruption, and how they consistently,
it's been 20 years?
Over 20 years, and they consistently put on a product and a brand and a message on how to talk sports, just like you guys are doing tonight. And I said, man, they laid the groundwork for over 20 years to what we're seeing now, what we're doing today, where we have our own ability now through, you know, live streams, through streaming software. And I said, man, hats off to those guys for just doing it for over 20 years, and they're still going strong.
Pioneers.
Just for you guys to have Team No Sleep, you know, who was the grandfathers of the first Team No Sleep party.
and still going, right? Yeah, that's true. The pioneers are the ones that set the groundwork and set the foundation. So, man, Montel, take us. Hey, first and foremost, hey, Brother Strong, thank you, man, for taking some time. I had you for 2 days here, and hopefully you're not in trouble with the household. Hopefully, the wife not gonna have you go shopping and pick up some new things, because we didn't capitalize on a lot of your time, your evening time as well, because it's 8, 9, 10. Ooh, it's 11 o'clock right now for you.
It's 11 o'clock. You're right. I'll be hitting the couch tonight. Standing at Sports Center.
I'm gonna leave that alone right there. I'm gonna leave that alone. But we appreciate you, man, for taking some time to hang out with us.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Mr. Montel, take us out, brother.
Man, keep your 10 toes on the ground, stay 6 feet deep, eat your vegetables, and pray every day.
He said eat them vegetables. I can't say nothing else, man. Y'all appreciate y'all.
Not your okay.
No, eat the vegetables, right?
Eat your vegetables, baby. Eat them vegetables.
Facts. Drop them down. Drop them.